This is a 40-piece first aid survival backup kit. Weighs about 10 ounces in a waterproof pouch. All right, let's take a quick look at what we got here. Just an overview. Got some tenacious tape. We got a pen light. We got a Swiss Army knife. We got assorted pills. We got a Propel water pack. We got a inexpensive Mylar blanket. Got a napkin. Have a couple of Q-tips. You have some moleskin. You have a survival whistle with a compass, and it also has a mirror and some matches and fire starter inside. We'll go over that. Assorted hand wipes, a fork. Seems kind of odd, but you'll see. Some assorted band-aids, a lancet, like a needle, assorted creams and lotions, and some gauze pads. And then of course we have the case that it all came in. Be used to hold water. I'll probably have some iodine tablets in this kit in the future, but you could fill this up with water, put an iodine tablet in it, and you have like a little mini canteen. This can go, in a pack, in a pocket. This can go on a belt, or this can go around a neck or a shoulder strap. This also has the bonus feature, along with the whistle, of giving you some cordage. Break a shoelace, you need to tie something up, you need to rig a tarp with a Mylar blanket, you have some cordage. So, okay, let's start going over everything. No particular order. Tenacious tape. This is clear. Very sticky, tacky tape. Can be used to repair gear, patch something. You get a hole in your tent, even a hole in your boot, anything like that. Anything you need a good sticky tape for. So, chunk of that. Have moleskin for blisters mainly, or hot spots to keep from getting blisters. Typically, if you're going to use this, you're going to address the blister. You're going to clean the area. You're going to probably cut a hole in this so the blister sticks through, and so you put this around the blister. You don't put this over the blister. Electrolyte pack. Q-tips. These can be used for many things, but mainly in the first aid issue, it'll be if you have a cut and there's something in there, you need to kind of like clean it out, or heaven forbid you get something in your eye. Sometimes the fibers of the Q-tip, if you won't flush out, you can use it to hook and pull it out with the fibers of the Q-tip. And inexpensive Mylar blanket. It's not gonna make life comfortable, but it could give you the edge between cold and wet and freezing, and at least maybe dry and out of the wind, and give you just a little edge if things really get bad. Assorted band-aids, a napkin. You just never know when you might need just some cloth to wipe something. A lancet, kind of like a really sharp, tiny needle. Assorted gauze pads and gauze wrap for larger scrapes or bruises or cuts. Assorted hand cleaners, alcohol, iodine wipes. We'll go over those individually. A selection of pills, cramp, cold and flu, antihistamines, pain relievers, things like that. We'll go over. Assorted creams, lotions. We'll go over all those individually. A fork. One of those inexpensive emergency whistles. Pen light, self-explanatory. You're stuck after dark and you weren't expected to. This will give you at least a light source. Swiss Army knife. This has many functions, of course. You do have a knife blade, or this is the file screwdriver tip. And then you have a knife blade. Cut, stab, whatever. You also have a pair of scissors. Cut that moleskin that we talked about. Like if you were to cut a hole in this, what I would do is I'd cut a piece out and then I'd probably fold it over and then cut the hole, so you cut it out this way. But the scissors can be used for that, to cut the tenacious tape, a lot of different things. The other important thing this thing has, small pair of tweezers, pulling out thorns, spines, anything like that. And it does have a toothpick, which in the big scheme of things isn't that important. But there it is. About this, like I said, some extra cordage, some medical tape, probably about 2 feet, some cloth tape, also about 2 feet, a whistle when you're lost. 3 short blasts or sounds or flashes can make all the difference in the world. It does have a small emergency mirror. It does have a small compass. It's not going to tell you exactly, but at least it'll tell you which way's north. It does have 2 strikers for matches. It has some stormproof matches. And then it has some Esbit fire starter. These will burn for about 4 or 5 minutes, so this will probably burn for 2 or 3 minutes. You could easily snap this in half if you want, but that'll give you a fighting chance to start a fire. These are stormproof matches, so once they're lit, you almost can't put them out, at least till they burn down to here. So you have 5-10 seconds to light something, even if it's windy, raining. You could literally dump this in water. Once it's lit, take it out, and it'll be burning again. So it gives you plenty of time to start a fire. There are 6 of these in here, which should be enough. Let's talk about the wipes and pads. These are sterile alcohol prep pads. These have several functions. So not only can you wouldn't necessarily use these to clean a wound, but if you're cut here and you're going to put a band-aid around it, you want to make the skin around it, make sure it's clean and the band-aid will stick. Same thing like the moleskin. If you pop the blister, make sure the skin around it, the adhesive will stick really well. This is good for if you need to sterilize something, such as the knife or the scissors if you actually need to cut something, or the lancet once it's open. If you need to reuse it, use these to sterilize things. So these are mainly used around the wound and for things like that. Now, these have a second use. You could also, because they're alcohol, these will burn. They'll light relatively easy. You know, worst case, you could open these, lay it down, put one of those fire starters on there, light that. It'll light really quick, really easy. And so, a backup fire starter. Then you have several just hand cleaners that are just, you know, mainly just used, you know, you're just out there and you need to clean your hands, not for necessarily any first aid. Some of these are just alcohol, so they'll also burn quite well. But just a backup hand cleaners. Obviously, if you do need to do some first aid, that's another use of those. If you need something with more soap in it, this is the soap towelette, so this will be more soapy versus just an alcohol type wipe. Then the last two are, you can almost call them wound wipes, antiseptic wipes and iodine. If a cut or abrasion or scrape is relatively minor, it wouldn't hurt to wipe this over it to make sure, you know, all the bacteria is pretty much wiped out. If it's a really deep cut, you don't want to use these. You just want to irrigate it, make sure it's clean, close it up as good as possible. Then you can wipe this on the surface, but this is not for the inside of a wound as much as it's for like the surface of the wound. But to the iodine and the antiseptic towelette basically do the same sort of thing. Assorted tablets. Cramp tabs, basically a pain reliever and a diuretic if you're retaining water, especially if you're female, menstrual pains, things like that. So one of those. And antacid, basically calcium carbonate. Another antacid, also anti-diarrheal medicine, kind of more towards the antacid side, but it'll help with diarrhea. Diarrhea can be very bad because you'll go through a lot of water, so you don't want to let diarrhea get out of control. Here's a more of a diarrhea pill. So if you do get it, probably start with that and then follow with this a couple hours later. Just a pain reliever, Tylenol basically. Sometimes the pain relievers work better in conjunction. Tylenol with ibuprofen would probably be better than either one, even at the stronger dosage. This is ibuprofen, and both of these are basically fever reducers also. Then this one's like a cold cough flu, so it has a little bit of pain reliever, decongestant, sinus issues. And the same thing with this, cold and cough, cough suppressant and nasal decongestion, and a pain reliever. And then antihistamines. So 2 different kinds here, but 2 antihistamines for either just minor allergies or even something more serious. Okay, sorted other pads, no particular order. Sting and bite pad. If you do get stung or you have something itchy, this will help relieve it. You take it off and you put it on there. It's just going to be basically a pain reliever and a cleaner. And you have some skin lotion, just what it is, and also this larger one. This is white petroleum. It can be used for a skin lotion rash if you're getting a rash somewhere, and this might even burn like on some cotton. We'll have to look into that. And then lip balm. Nothing like being out in the woods getting chapped lips and like, damn it, all I'm doing is licking my lips and being thirsty all the time. So some lip balm. Okay, here's a plain Q-tip. Burns, goes out right away. Here's a Q-tip with beeswax lip balm. You see how easy it goes out? It goes out pretty easy. Okay, now let's do it with basically petroleum jelly. See how it goes out? Definitely burns a lot more. Some first aid cream. If you do have a cut or scrape or abrasion and you worry about it getting infected, you wipe it down with iodine. You can put this over it and then cover it with something. Ideally, with cuts, scrapes, bruises, if you can leave them uncovered, they'll heal the best, just out in the air. But if it's dirty, wet, then you need to bandage it. Or if you need to bandage it to keep it closed. There's also oral pain relief. You'd put some of this either on the Q-tip or on your finger if you have like a toothache or something, and rub it where the toothache is. So just the pain relief to be used in the mouth. There's also a couple of insect repellents. So nothing worse than being out in the woods and all of a sudden you realize the bugs are really bad. These will be, there's 2 here, which is more than enough to coat a person a couple times or a couple people. And then there's hydrocortisone cream, mainly for anti-itch. Getting some poison oak, you have a bunch of mosquito bites, something that's just driving you insane with the itch, this will help. Triple antibiotic cream. I was kind of talking about the first aid burn cream. That's more for like sunburns, minor burn, stuff like that, where this is more for like wound care. So, sorted band-aids, butterflies, regular band-aids, some larger ones, some larger like butterfly ones for larger wounds. But just assorted band-aids. That's pretty self-explanatory. Alcohol wipe ahead of time, especially where the adhesive's going to be trying to stick, to make sure they stick. And then, of course, some gauze. This is a piece that you could wrap around many times, or there's a couple of pads in here. Q-tips, like I talked about. Eye care, the oral pain medicine, just clean your ears, or if something gets in your eye, you could probably put a little petroleum jelly on there. That would burn. So just assorted juices there. Just some electrolytes. You're out there, you're thirsty. Sometimes water alone doesn't do it. You need salts and electrolytes. This will give you that little edge. The Lancet we talked about. This is sterile when you open it, so you don't need to sterilize it, but probably after the first use, if you have to use it again, you'll want to sterilize it with alcohol pad. A napkin, just a nice thick napkin, always handy. A chunk of moleskin. Once again, this goes around the blister, not over the blister. So you'll typically cut a circle, square, whatever you need to out of it, and then stick it around the blister. Once again, take an alcohol wipe around there where the adhesive needs to stick, so it'll stay on your foot. And it'll just keep the shoe or whatever's wearing, causing the blister from touching that spot and right on this material. Fork, seems kind of weird, but this is like a first aid survival backup kit. There's nothing worse than being out in the woods and not having a utensil. So it doesn't weigh anything, doesn't take any room up. It just gives you that backup if you lose your spoon, forgot your spoon, which would be kind of silly, but happens. It just gives you that little backup. The whole idea behind this kit is to give you a small, easy backup. Tenacious tape. Like I said, this is really good for repairing gear. This stuff's really tacky, really sticky. Once on it, like stay. You get a tear in your tent, a tear in your jacket, even a tear in your shoe, as long as it's not a high wear, but it'll keep the elements out. And then the Mylar blanket. Like I said, this isn't going to save your life by itself, but this does have several functions. It could be rigged up for shade. Remember, we talked about cordage. So you could put a rock through a round rock through the corner of the fabric and tie it around. That'll give you something to tie it to, and tie it up for shade, in hot climates, or as rain shelter in a storm, or sideways for wind blowing, or you could wrap yourself in this. The other function with this is it's a very good signaling device. This is laid out and it's halfway sunny. Chances are a plane will see this, so if you do get lost and you expect rescue to come, lay this out, put it down on some rocks, and if it's sunny and then you start seeing a rescue plane, go out there and maybe shake it around, and it'll have a highly reflective surface flashing that sun, along with the signal mirror in here, and hopefully you'll get their attention. So keep someone dry in the shade, keep some body heat, signaling device. You could twist it up, make some cordage out of it, so you can do several things with it.